Hi everyone! In 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora was considered the most powerful explosion in human history. With an explosive force of about 800 million tons of TNT, the explosion completely wiped out a civilization around its area. Today, let's take a look at the 5 most destructive volcanic eruptions in human history. Number 5. The Ruiz Volcano. In 5th place, we must mention the Ruiz volcano disaster in Colombia. This disaster took place only about 40 years ago in Colombia. In 1985, the peaceful town of Almero, Colombia, was submerged within 15 minutes by a supermagma flow erupting from the Nevado del Ruiz volcano, causing the biggest natural disaster in the country. Located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, the Nevado del Ruiz volcano in Colombia has been active for about 1.8 million years. During its activity, Nevado del Ruiz twice erupted superheated lava flows that swept down the Guali and Lagunillas river valleys. However, by November 1984, geologists observed that the geological activity near Nevado del Ruiz was becoming increasingly complex. Scientists issued warnings, but the people did not evacuate. At 3:06 p.m. on November 13, 1985, a loud explosion shook the ground. Following that, a mass of 35 million tons of rock and superheated lava moved at a speed of 480 kilometers per hour from the top of the mountain down the valleys on both sides of the mountain, destroying all buildings and trees in its path and quickly advancing towards the peaceful town of Almero, about 30 kilometers away. Along with the erupting lava, about 700,000 tons of sulfur dioxide were also released, forming a cloud that fell thickly on surrounding areas. When mixed with water, it formed a concrete-like adhesive material, collapsing roofs, and even in small amounts it could be harmful to human health when inhaled. The peaceful town of Almero, Colombia, was instantly submerged by the supermagma flow erupting from the Nevado del Ruiz volcano, causing the country's worst natural disaster. Only about a quarter of the town's people survived. About 5,000 people were injured. The number of people killed by the Nevado del Ruiz disaster reached over 23,000. Number 4. Mount Pelée in 1902. This was the most horrific tragedy, taking place in just 3 minutes, but it claimed the lives of nearly 30,000 people. Located on the island of Martinique in the Caribbean Sea, and with a height of 1,463 meters, Pelée is a cone-shaped island and home to the port city of Saint-Pierre. The most terrifying moment of the 20th century began at 8 a.m. on May 8, 1902. Mount Pelée, after being dormant for 51 years, erupted violently, spewing a giant cloud of hot gas up to 1,500 degrees Celsius at a speed of 45 meters per second. Less than 3 minutes later, the entire island was submerged in a sea of glowing lava. About 30,000 people on the island were instantly killed by the terrible heat of the flowing magma and thousands of degrees Celsius gas and dust. All the buildings and houses on Martinique Island were swallowed up in Mount Pelée's terrible fury. All that Pelée left behind here were smoldering remains and deadly devastation. Number 3. The Laki volcano's toxic gas eruption. The Laki volcano began erupting in 1783. It spewed lava and toxic gases for 8 months. Sulfur dioxide caused acid rain that devastated plants. Fluoride gas settled on the grass and killed 60% of the livestock. More than 1/5 of Iceland's population, about 10,000 people, died from hunger and disease. However, the devastation of the Laki volcano went far beyond the island. A sulfurous gas haze quickly spread to Europe, damaging crops and blocking the sun's rays, leading to colder temperatures. Even in Alaska, summer temperatures were 4 degrees Celsius lower than normal. Although the final death toll from the Laki eruption is almost impossible to estimate, this volcano is certainly considered one of the deadliest in the world. Number 2. The Krakatoa tragedy. In 1883, a volcano on Krakatoa Island awoke with a power 13,000 times greater than an atomic bomb. When the volcano erupted, everything inside it, the chamber inside the mountain, became empty, and finally, with nothing left to support it, the top layer of the volcano collapsed. The volcano then sank 250 meters below sea level, and 2/3 of the island sank after that. Houses and people were dragged down into the sea. Hundreds of people in nearby towns on the island of Sumatra also died almost instantly as glowing red ash burned their homes. Not only that, but the activity of Krakatoa volcano caused super tsunamis and swept everything out of the sea. About 36,000 people died from the disaster, and Krakatoa Island sank to the bottom of the ocean. However, in 1927, explorers saw a new island rising at the location of Krakatoa Island. They called it Anak Krakatoa. Today, Anak Krakatoa volcano continues to erupt, but mildly. Number 1. Mount Tambora in 1815. Tambora is a volcano on the island of Sumbawa, Indonesia. This volcano has a height of 2,772 meters above sea level. The 1815 eruption of Tambora is marked as the most powerful volcanic eruption in modern history. It had an explosive power equivalent to 800 million tons of TNT. It's no exaggeration to say that Mount Tambora tops the list of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. During that eruption, people could see eruption columns 3 times higher than the St. Helens disaster in 1980. 10,000 people were killed by the hot lava flow. Along with that was the disappearance of a small civilization around the erupting volcano area. After the disaster, crops and the environment were destroyed, and the number of people who died from lack of food reached 82,000. Tambora's smoke columns entered the atmosphere, increasing the reflection of sunlight from Earth, causing many places not to receive enough heat. This was the culprit that caused all of Europe to sink into an unprecedentedly cold winter. Even the Pennsylvania River froze in the middle of August during the summer. Therefore, people called that fateful year 1816 the year without a summer. Thank you for watching the video. Join us to explore more earth-shattering wonders next time.